relationships, and even school performance. We will talk about signals that show that something's wrong, preventive actions, efficient therapies, interventions that involve families, schools, and societies, with examples from Brazil and from the world. Today, as a moderator, we'll have Dr. Cirilo Tissot, a psychiatrist, specialist in chemical substance compulsions, games, shopping, and other things. He's also is a specialist on disorders regarding alcohol and drugs. He's also the director of Clinic Aldeamas. He's a founder and also director of the Paulista Society of Therapeutic Family, and also a professor for the University of São Paulo. A great round of applause for Dr. Cirilo. Good afternoon, everyone. This is my second time here with you in the Freemind Congress, and I can tell you that of the congresses that I have participated, what stands out here is how friendly the audience is. So, as a moderator today, I want to take the advantage of being a moderator to do something different, which I think has to do with the audience, that is in line with the audience, which is to leave you very relaxed and feeling comfortable where you are from, so we can lead this in the most simple way possible. Some colleagues will talk, others will leave it more flexible, the topic. So I hope we can learn and have fun at the same time. First of all, I would like to call the first lecture presentation Dr. Vinicius Andrade, specializing in chemical evidences. He's a psychiatrist and also a schooler and has his practice he specializes in games, and he's part of the Institute of Psychiatry of the University of São Paulo, developing studies of behavioral dependency and its impacts on modern and contemporary mental health. He's recognized by the scientific community by addressing topics like nomophobia, emotional health in hyperconnected times. So a great round of applause to Dr. Vinicius Andrade. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. If you could please bring me the pointer. My name is Vinicius Andrade. I liked saying that currently I am as a psychiatrist. I am currently a psychiatrist. Something you might be a bit scared of what I'm saying. We're going to talk about playing. We forget that all of us play a specific type of playing, social play. Oh, yes, social play. What is social play? Social play is the capacity of us to work as a team, train social skills, learning how to collaborate, and learn how to live in society. Each person occupying a specific role. And this is something we do since the world began, since we began as a society. We as human beings were able to survive because we learned how to play, work in teams, collaborate with one another. This helped us develop a very specific part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is where our forehead is. If you think of your dog, your puppy, your cat, you see that his nose is longer, but his forehead is smaller. They have a smaller prefrontal cortex. Oh, my puppy, he's really effective. Okay, they're also evolving for sure, but we evolved more than they did. And this capacity of working as a team, living in society, and occupying several areas made us develop technologies. You know what a technology is? Technology is the practical activity of scientific knowledge that has been gained to develop a specific type of ease in the life of a human being or meet a specific need, a human need. Focus on the second part, meet a human need. Because sometimes when we talk about technology, we start thinking that actually we need to develop the Elon Musk's rocket, go to Mars, see if there's life in the on the moon. We have to accelerate life, but we forget that we also search as a human being not only connection that's in our essence to make us keep this play, this social play, is also to meet social human needs, and that's when things start becoming complicated. Before, no one's here to condemn gaming, okay? We're not here to condemn gaming. We focus on people that have this type of difficulty and they get lost in this type of social plays. The person in this case start trying to increasingly fulfill these needs. And what happens with technology in this sense? Well, we can consider technology way back when they start developing weapons through by use of stones. Technology also, light is technology. Electricity is technology. They start thinking, why? Why do we have electricity? Have you ever thought and stopped thinking about why electricity exists? Raise your hand if you do not use electricity in your house to live or for a. Okay. Um, who has a mobile here? A cell phone? Who does not have a cell phone? Who had a cell phone 30 years ago? That's a specific point. We start reaching going after technology to reach our needs of affection, of fulfilling the need to deal with emotions, and these developed technologies are increasingly intense and fast. And that is a dangerous formula. Everything that is more intense and faster ends faster. So I want more. And things start accelerating. We can think of internet. I need more likes, I need more likes, I need more everything, everything. But we can't handle all this. That's when we study the human mind, psychiatry, psychology, because we analyze behavior and we start noticing that some people have a bit more difficulty in dealing with that. Some people have a profile that is more impulsive, they have mechanisms of coping with affections that lead to this type of behavior. Sometimes a person had a really positive experience with gaming in a childhood and she associates that with pleasure. Then when she's sad, she will play. And when she plays, she becomes happy. Great. But sometimes it becomes a bit more than average, the playing. And then she just play and to deal with this sorrow that he or she feels, or everything she does or he does is in excess. And then she kind of becomes too unbalanced in terms of quantity. In the last 10 years, we started thinking that some of these behavioral disorders have increased. So in 2013, DCM, my laboratory, started saying some people are gaming too much. They called it internet gaming disorder. These people had a problematic behavior, not pathological necessarily, but they would they would stop functioning in things that they should be doing as a person in a society, and they would only focus on that specific game and became isolated, did not take care of themselves, did not work, did not study, did not have a social life. They didn't have the social play they didn't socially play in a healthy way. So we started thinking based on that other disorders, other addictions could also exist. We started thinking about other disorders that are not official diagnosis. That's very important to highlight, but are things that we see that are happening. So the behavior is a little bit different. online gaming, the excessive use of social media. Who has got lost in an infinitive feed? It's a feed that never ends, right? And that delivers to us small waves of pleasure that are fast and selected exclusively for us, bubble experiences. Each one of you with their cell phone has a unique, individualized, customized experience and for capitalist interests. Okay, we live in a capitalist world, no problem, but then you have the shopping. Shopping are become more intense. Shopping is leveraged, potentialized. Who is in an eternal Black Friday? Yes, I see several people laughing. That's a sign. So oftentimes we have to be very, very aware that we are influenced by that. The idea that you you have a belief that you are making the decision, but actually someone is making this decision for you with some subtle messages. And then we start thinking of an important behavior, which is basic pleasure of ours, sex. Let's do that and deliver sex through online pornography or digital interaction. uh, Among the 10 most access sites of visited sites of pornography, among the 10 websites that are more visited in the world, 3 are regarding porn sites. But today we talk about gaming. Gaming is a set of intellectual or physical activities with the specific and simple rules. Something that is interesting to talk about regarding gaming, for games in general, such as soccer, for example, I might I might be less appreciated here, but I support Palmeiras. Oh, he was so nice, but now he supports Palmeiras. Oh, but I'm Corinthians. Corinthians is my team. That's interesting because when we talk about games, this happens a lot also, not only in football. Football's a type of game, soccer's a type of game, but in gaming, what happens is that when we talk about individuals that have a gaming behavior that lives in a specific world, just like the guy that is part of a specific supporting group of a game, and he loses his function in society because he's just focused on that. So now, based on that, I want to show you a video. Video game has evolved very quickly the past years. Just like 30 years ago, we did not have cell phones. Atari came before cell phone and smartphone, okay? Video game is older than cell phones. But 50 years ago, we do not have video games. But now it's really well adapted to the lives of our young youths. That's why we, from the health practice, we need to know about this.
Wii U, PlayStation 4, Xbox, generation of video game consoles. We made it! If you're as old as me.
Yeah, we made it.
Ok, nós conseguimos. We're not only talking about games, we're talking about a world. In this world, there's several type of games, and several young people live in an immersive world like this. And this, we're talking about a very small part that lives in this immersive world, but in an unhealthy way. And in 1940, that's the first time a video game emerged in an exhibition in New York. In 1976, Atari was launched, the most famous. Who played Atari here? I did. My uncle had an Atari. I was a teenager, a child, that I played a lot on the streets, but I always liked video games. It was always good for me playing video game. I have good memories by 94 PlayStation, Xbox 2002. Steam is a platform that you play through online through your computer. So what happened from 82, from Atari's second launch to 2025? Well, the world just completely changed in this sense. This is a Fortnite championship that 250 million users active simultaneously in YouTube. That's greater than the World Cup, guys. So this was a landmark because sometimes we're living in our world and we forget that that young people, teenagers are living in a specific world that is interconnected by the internet. And when we're going to intervene within those patients, we have to remember that. We have to look at their world specifically. One thing that I thought fantastic about Freemind is that I remember Freemind where Paulo mentioned help people, helping those that help people help more people. But how am I going to do that if you don't connect to these people? If I have at least the smallest knowledge, whatever, about what this person is living or talking about. So video games is not some has benefits also, okay? We have cognitive benefits, better memory, remote memory, better physical skills and ability of focusing on a specific perspective. And in addition to all of that, video games creates a world with several genres, and because of that, several products. This is a video that has been created where they created a park so you can live in real life in a video game, and it's real, and this park is becoming very successful. They created in 1 year more than one park, and it's a billion dollar industry.
Thrills and excitement. In Super Nintendo World, you'll jump into the action and discover a new way to play.
When we started planning Epic Universe, we really wanted to create iconic worlds that deeply connect with fans.
I'm a lifelong fan of Nintendo and grown up with these characters. I still remember opening up my NES system in 85 or 86.
It doesn't matter how old you are. Everyone knows the Nintendo brand. We all have our favorite games. We all have our favorite characters. We're the fans. And so our primary goal was to make sure, not just for us, but for the guests, this was the ultimate Nintendo experience.
You'll enter Super Nintendo World through the iconic green pipe. And once inside, you'll discover the most elaborate, interactive world we've ever created, featuring Super Mario Land and Donkey Kong Country.
When you come out on the second level of Super Nintendo World with that vista, there's just not another view like it.
You have Mount Beanpole right in front of you. You have all these colorful blocks, all the characters moving around. This world is alive around you.
This world invites you to just come in and play.
It's just about fun, man. It's all about fun.
One of the features of Super Nintendo World is the power-up band.
It allows you to play the games. It allows you to keep score.
You can collect coins by punching blocks. You can find hidden elements throughout the land.
You can see how you're doing compared to other guests in the park.
There's so many places to look and to be engaged. You just get engulfed in it, and then you're like, okay, so what's the first thing you want to do?
If we were going to
Então, e esses adultos
So, and these adults became young, and I did not resist and when I visited that park. See, when you talk about games, oh, my son is playing, what am I going to do? Maybe the first question you must ask seeking connection is, what are you playing? Each ball, each colored circle you see here, it's a different type of game, as if a different sport modality. And within these modalities, there are variations. I have sand soccer, soccer. And if you're not living in this world and you want to connect with that young person, you must get to know their world. Because how are you going to talk with them about a League of Legends match if you don't even know what's that? So calm down. When we think about games and complications, remember that I told you that games are a set of rules with a final goal, just like chess, and I will get there, and who gets there first win. And you see that some games trying to keep that individual there longer and reinforcing pleasure and more intermittently, they do not have an end. The more I play, the more I continue, the more I highlight, the more I excel. So it makes it harder to put limits in that type of time of game. And if there's an individual that's not feeling well, that they have problems or a more impulsive profile or a history of association of game to uh, improve symptoms such as unhappiness or sadness, or maybe a change in neurodevelopment, games end up entering their lives more intensely. Games we see in literature and medicinal practice end up having a more path for is the first person games and arena and multiplayer games, because these games often do not end, but they're more popular. They move around these championships with over 260 people watch them. So they develop an identity. No, I am I support Palmeiras. I support that specific team in League of Legends. So this is a League of Legends match. I will show a little bit more later. In addition, they observed that some games, I think that we'll talk about that later as well. Some interventions are already going on. Some games have mechanisms that make the player like win faster, get his team and help the team more effectively because they had tools, spark parts, weapons that were more powerful. And he could do that by simply clicking and donating money. When that starts, this randomness mechanism, I don't know what's coming. Maybe nothing will come, but something very special might come. And then I start to create an illusion that I'm going to have a skin, a part, or a weapon that can change my entire history in the game or accelerate it. Have you heard about this? These types of gambling does that. Gambling does that. So you see an intersection of a play, of something that's a play with betting mechanisms. So that's why these loot boxes, they have, they're dangerous, kind of dangerous, because they get vulnerable young people that are in development. You know that place we have here, I told in the beginning, the prefrontal cortex that makes us make decisions and live in society. So I need to live in a society. Each one will occupy a space in society so that we can have a society and not be, eaten by predators. These individuals, they start being explored by loot box mechanisms. And today, some games repel loot boxes. Another interesting mechanism is the gacha mechanism. It's a bit similar, but it's aimed at exchanging skins. And the only movement that I have to evolve in the game is by buying or mining hours. I either pay or I either spend hours and hours in that game to be able to help my team and advance. And it's very interesting. It's a famous game. Do any one of you, do you know Pokemon? Kind of, right? Kind of. Pokemon is a very popular game for over 30 years or even more. Since I have always heard of Pokemon, and there are new Pokemons coming on. In the beginning, there were 140. I think now there's over 1,000. I don't know if anyone knows the exact number. You can help me, or just Google it. What we have to pay attention is that Pokemon made over 1 billion in 2021, but does not overcome 2020. Okay, but what about the mechanisms behind that? Who has played a game or anything else or any other thing with accept authorized before beginning, and you are anxious, you want to play, you've been waiting for a while, then you go there and you authorize, and those tiny letters, do any of you read those tiny letters? You do. You do. Great. Very good. Because most people don't. No one reads them. A curious thing about Pokemon Go is that its owner, a Google developer, he used the resources for authorization to develop a company that for mapping out, like a Google Street View, but aimed at companies. Yes. So whoever played Pokemon Go helped that company being developed. And believe me, he won much more billions than what he won with the game. So there are many hidden mechanisms. We can talk about that later. And these mechanisms strengthen and keeps that individual inserted in that medium, in that place. So one of the psychological appeals of video game is that curve line. I have a game. There's a Mario game. It has 60 phases. If I start in the last phase, the Bowser phase, what will happen? The game is very hard. I can't play it. But if I start in phase 1, then I evolve to level 2, 10, 20. Wow, I'm in 59 and I'm ready to kill Bowser in the last level and save the princess. If you do it correctly, you will avoid it to be tedious and avoids the level of anxiety and leads to the belief that you are acquiring skills. And that's highly explored, both in games and gambling. I have the idea that if I have some type of a little bit of knowledge, it will work out. Who here understands about soccer? Lel said he does. Last week he was mistaken. He was wrong in his forecast. So these games, it's important to understand that they have legions of fans and they are treated like a World Cup.
Baker's hunting, and he's looking for a minute. No, the flash forward, Zednar's presence knight, able to flash away as well. The hostile takeover, but comes up short. The Nars stolen away by Baker. Lord spear against the wall, and puts him 6 feet under. Should next on the menu. Kubi Yushin gets open up. Should taken out by Tears. The equalizer does exactly that. The reigning world champions will not go down that easily. I'm a super power.
E não é um.
And it's not a soccer game. Today we know that most people will have healthy habits and will have fun and play and explore that, that interaction and make teams. That's our life. We do that all the time. We all do that. But from 2 to 3% may develop a problematic user game disorder. It's individual that crosses the average line and he starts having functional problems and he becomes isolated. In Brazil, it's something that we don't know is that we are the first video game market in South America and the 6th country in the world. So we are only in the beginning in game production, but as players, we are among the top 10. So from those millions that watched the final I showed you, there were many, many Brazilians. When you had DSM, SID 11 had a difference from 20 to 2021. We continue to study. Things change as we research. So ICD-11, it worries about the problems regarding gaming control, or that person that will give increasing priority to the game, and despite the person has problems, it will escalate or continue the practice of playing. When we talk about addiction, it's a behavioral addiction. It's difficult to define it. Even when we talk with experts, you ask, what's an addiction behavior? They say, oh, you have to see case by case. At least for me, it was always a problem. I really liked the idea of the 4 C's of addiction. Have you heard of it, of them? I'll tell you. The 4 C's is the entire behavior, a specific, I have a specific compulsive behavior that I recognize and I practice it for a long time and very intensely. The second C comes from low control. I have low or no control over that behavior. If I see that game, I will play it. Third, craving. When I'm not playing, I keep thinking about it or thinking about it. I go to Twitter and start fantasizing how I'm going to kill Bowser. And fourth, I have a partial awareness that that behavior is bad for me, but I can't stop. And very often, I do not express that, but I know I'm having problems.
So we think of lack of control, prioritizing behavior, and loss. Something that is very important to talk about behavioral addictions and dependencies and addiction is the intersection with comorbidities. There are isolated cases, but most of them has to do with comorbidities. So the person that I said at the beginning that he plays has moments of pleasure, and then he becomes really sad, and then starts associating and developing a more intense behavior regarding that. What are the most common comorbidities related to electronic games? Depression, anxiety, ADHD, and neural development related to the difficulty in having social abilities, autism. So the person that plays, he or she has some specific points we have to pay attention to. If the family has, and let's pay attention, let's assess his sleeping, anxiety, neurodevelopment, depression. There's some medications that have a main prescription recommendation. We are still trying to understand their use, their main uses, but it's still very small sample. And the treatment, what is the treatment? How do I treat a person like this? What's our evidence in this sense? First of all, in literature, it's cognitive behavioral therapy. How is the behavior of this person? There's something about a motivational interview that it also includes a protocol that is essential to engage the patient, make him act, because sometimes the 4th C that I mentioned, he hasn't reached it. He's still not very clear to him that he's being harmed by his own behavior. Other therapies, and we see it in practice in our clinic, that also help. Um, I always say I teach at Einstein's postdoctoral program. It's connection, and I always mention to my students connection. We need to connect to the patient, regardless of the method you're using, the technique you're using. That's what we're talking about, okay? We're going to treat these comorbidities, and that's comorbidities, and we are going to not only treat it only with medications, but investigate other type of possible comorbidities and behaviors. And these person, they will have a great response to it if they involve their family, especially if it's a child or a teenager. Sometimes forward this teenager or child to a support group. They can be very important because that's where they will be people that think like him or like her, like you need to see his reflection but his reflection when he's already really facing a really big difficulty, that he had a problem, learn how to deal with it. Now he wants to help. And maybe by seeing this, he can foresee and not actually act. There's also something important. And oh, Vinicius said that. Okay. We don't have a level of research, but interventionist applications and stimulations, some stimulations, okay, that are still underway. They're still very at the beginning. We don't have many practical responses and results in terms of stimulation, but they have shown to be a way also. And this is the test I want to show. Motivational interview. Forget all the rest and only pay attention at the slide. Changing or not changing, advantages and disadvantages. The person with this behavioral problem, it's difficult for him to notice these differences. For him, it's the same thing. So it's initial intervention that we're able to put him at an action phase that's showing that his intense behavior he's having is causing him some type of loss. And involve their family, friends, and groups. It's very hard to do an effective treatment if you do not involve their family. They need to have someone to talk about, even if it's you. Some guidelines regarding family support: limiting the time to use internet, mobile devices. Do not be afraid of limiting the time. A teenager, a child, they are flexible. You can mold them. And you are a parent. You're a responsible person. You're not a friend. You have to guide and you have to impose limits. You're their guardian. Creating dialogues about how to limit time. And if you do not follow this rule, you will not be able to play. You have to fulfill your rule, your paper in societies. What is your role today? It's to be a student and to study, right? Fulfill it, otherwise you won't be able to play. But without judgment, and instead showing interest. Today internet is really advanced. Use this. If you don't know what your child is talking about, ask him about it and search for it. Oh, he's playing a game that has some demons. What is this game? Search. He won't explain it to me, so I will search about it. Oh, I don't want you to play this. I don't want you to play this because of this and this and this and this. We'll talk more about this later. And what they noticed is that type of guidance given by parents, they're very specific, which is called authoritative. I'm not going to deepen too much about this because of time, and other lecturers will talk about this. But keep this name in mind, authoritative. Support groups, a study just to reinforce the idea that everything we're talking about, games, there's already a diagnosis, a code, a CID, but like any other behavior, we're evolving. Like I told you, 30 years ago, we didn't have a cell phone. 60 years ago, we did not have video games, and they're becoming more intense. The reward is greater, the time is smaller, shorter. So this has been changing a lot. So we need to continue studying and understanding these behaviors. Thank you, guys. Well, let's proceed. Now I'd like to call Marileia de Paulo, operator of the network of protection of women victims of domestic violence. She also is expert in story and sociology, postgraduate in human rights, and creator of the movement Acolhe Brasil. She's a former secretary of the state of Rio de Janeiro state regarding chemical dependency. So now, please, Marileia. So there was a change here. Now we're going to present Leonardo. Leonardo. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Freemind Brasilia. How are you guys? My name is Marileia de Paula. As he said before, I went there to the other side to get a piece of paper because I wanted to start by doing a very small, short exercise with you guys. So the work that, can you please hold this for me, the microphone? Thank you. The work that each one of you what does here is very, very important. We deal with people, people that live by just using substances, sometimes more, sometimes less. People that have their homes, their families, that go through difficult situations, that have dreams, dreams of traveling, dreams of many, many times the use of substances make these travels, these trips be such difficult trips, and sometimes without no coming back. But when these people, when they find someone like our doctor here, like myself, like you guys, the life of this person can be changed. And that is amazing. And I'm happy you guys came here today because many people can have their lives transformed because you were willing to make the difference. I'm a teacher, and teachers, when they're going to speak, they always like to do something to get your attention. And that is what we do regarding games and children and teenagers, that we need to make this environment, as our doctor said, an environment of pleasure that is pleasant. But we need to always be aware, pay attention to the perils that we know they exist, right, doctor? Because games were not created to cause problems, but they exist when they are used in an excessive way. It is going to bring problems to children. And before beginning, oh, there's something in my bag. There's something in my bag. Let me check. Oh, oh my God, it's behind me. This this little doll wanted to talk to Mariana. Come here, Mariana. Come here, Mariana. Come here, Mariana. Shh. He's just so happy. He's so happy. Mariana. How are you doing, Mariana? He's going to give you a kiss, a friend, okay? A friend kiss because children don't date. Are you happy of being here? Yes. Do you like being here? Yes. Great. Jerominho, he's here just to say hi to these people here, these beautiful people. Say hi. Say hi. Hi. Now he's only going to talk to you guys. Hi. Thank you. Why did I pick this toy, this doll? To tell you guys that children, the phase of their childhood is the most special phase in the life of a human being.
I'll make a test with you. I'll do a test with you, doctor. When you, what was the clothes that you used in in Christmas of 2022? I don't even remember last year. Oh my. There, I have a friend there. She's a firefighter. I'm going to ask you, what did you wear in Christmas of 2020? She doesn't remember. Oh, my friend Mariana's father. What did you wear in Christmas of 2023? You don't recall. Oh, everybody, look here. I'd like to know what who was your first teacher? Who was your first teacher? Who recalls? Oh, wow, you guys, even you smiled differently. It's another way for me to prove to you that childhood is the most important phase of a person's life. It's in childhood that one's character is built, is forged. So at this moment here is for us to reflect how important to protect childhood. And that's what I'm going to talk about. In digital environments, challenges and strategies to ensure full protection. So protecting childhood begins in the Constitution. The Constitution will say that children are Brazil's priority. Well, Mariana, since you are here, did you know that you are Brazil's priority? Who has children here? Please raise your hands. So your children, your son, your daughter, they are Brazil's priority. And in digital environments, we must ensure that protection. Next slide, please. The digital context in Brazil, the online environment it's a new space. It's digital. It's what's new. We who are in the ITs, we must adapt to the new reality. So we're not going back to Atari. We're not going back to Mario Brothers. We're not going back to that. So we must adapt. The environment today is one of coexistence. So we talk through WhatsApp groups, family group, and then you have like many things going on, right? So learning, but also children, when they are inserted in this context, they are vulnerable because children's predators, they also like to be in that environment. So we, as protectors of childhood, must be always attentive. 93% of children from 9 to 17 have a mobile phone. They own a mobile phone, but can they manage it? Very often, children talk to someone who's on the other side. What's the name of that game, doctor? What? Roblox. So the child is talking to someone, and her parents or his parents don't even know who it is. So when it comes to protecting childhood, we must pay attention. Is my time running up? Am I running out of time? No? Okay. That's the way I am. It's for you to look at me. Do not sleep, please. So we must pay attention. We must be careful because a child, she's given a mobile phone. It's the same time. It's the same thing as if you give a car to a child and the child doesn't know how to drive. It's the same thing. That's why those who are responsible for that child must monitor him or her. So the right of children must be applied in both digital and physical environments. We often are worried only with the physical environment, and the digital environment is like that. My friend Diego, if your daughter asks you to go out, do you have a daughter or a son? Okay, your niece, don't you have a niece or a nephew that you like very much? If he or she comes up to you and says midnight, well, I'm going to Ceilândia now, hang out. Will you let him or her? Would you let your children go out? Go to Rio de Janeiro, Cidade de Deus, where Marileia was born. Would you let them go by themselves? You won't. Why? Because it's dangerous. But we let children on the room next to us with their mobile phone in their hands, alone, having access to games. And the doctor said that among these games, when children play, the person that programmed the game, like Tiger, Tigrinho, or porn sites, they send quick videos. And then soon, children are accessing pornography inside their homes, and their parents are not seeing that, are not aware. So digital platforms, they must offer safe environments to your children, to Brazilian children. And then we have various challenges: mental health, physical health, because very often children are becoming obese because they're sitting all the time. They don't stand up to move around. At least when I was a child, I used to climb on trees. Who did that too? Yeah, you ran a lot. Yes. I'm saying everything I used to do when I was a child. That's important. Children must move around because of their mental health, their behavioral and physical health. Some have seen children online of children that when their parents, they say, today we're not going to play, and then the child starts to scream and cry, and they need like psychological support. Something's wrong. And compulsion and addiction. So addiction has, that dopamine, which is given to children and teenagers and even adults. It's so strong that the person becomes so addicted that some people use diapers so they don't have to stand up to go to the toilet. So we, as public policies managers, must pay attention to that. Another challenge is safety and personal data, because abusers are there, predators are there. Did you know that the photo of a child in the hands of a predator. The predator is talking to her, tells them to take off their clothes and show their private parts, and then they sell it for a high amount. And that becomes a chain of sexual abuse against children. So we must pay attention to that. And personal data that are exposed. Who must protect children? Please, the video. Get the.
Tome o celular, mamãe e papai precisam conversar. Tome o celular, me dá um instante. Tome o celular, filho, já brinquei bastante. Tome o celular, filho, pra gente comer em paz no restaurante. O que há com meu filho? Vive se trancando. O que há com meu filho? Passo o dia jogando. O que há com meu filho? Ele não tem amigos, nem tá namorando. O que houve com ele? Ele não tá normal. O que houve com ele? Tá tão radical. O que houve com ele? Nem participou da ceia de Natal. O que houve com ele? Não consigo explicar. O que houve com ele? Jamais vou superar. O que houve com ele? Eu juro, a gente fez tudo pra tentar ajudar.
Obrigada.
Thank you. This is a reflection that I and you, that we must do for our children. Our children need protection. And when I say our children, it's not only small children, but children who are under our guardianship. As long as they are minors, they are your responsibility, my responsibility. Who must protect? Parents, those who are responsible for that child, educators, society, and the government and the state. What does the state do? The state will offer public policies that will generate protection to that child in the digital environment. It's very important that we, as public policy managers, that we can bring to the sector we work in public policies that are relevant. For instance, the PAD, it will talk about the launch of a study containing data. Public policies are created based on evidence, based on data. Based on the moment Dr. Sami presents these proposals, you who are here today, you might not work in public management, but you are a Brazilian citizen. And did you know that you can propose public policies for the country? Do you know that? So we need bring the demand as well, because the state, it does not work by itself. It works together with municipalities, states, organized civil society. And among some legal frameworks that we have regarding protection, we have the Statute of Children and Adolescents. In that statute, there is a section on digital protection. We have the civil framework, we have the data protection law, and we have a law that was published this year, which is the Digital Statute of Children and Adolescents. It's difficult to list because there are so many, but we also have a law that criminalizes, that will criminalize that issue of cyberbullying. And that law is from 2024.
Who is from Brasilia? Raise your hands if you're from Brasilia. This year, a girl, an 8-year-old girl, in an online game, they told her to smell some type of substance, some type of spray it in her nose, and she passed away. That's what I'm talking about regarding protection. It was a type of deodorant. Games are cool, but we need to teach children and teenagers about the perils. We don't want to lose the children, the teenagers. That is why we as public administrators, we need to administrate and serve. We need to serve. I cannot be an administrator just worried about my wage, my salary, just worried about, no, I need to be there and think. We have some laws that have a specific name. For example, we have in Rio, we have a law, Enhi Borel, which is a law created due to a very complicated situation that my friend Leniel lived. But he stood up and created the law Enhi Borel to strengthen the Children and Teenager Statute, or ECA in Portuguese. We have to pay attention to a situation, think about public policy, effective public policy, permanent public policy, because to do partisan public policy does not work. So in these cases, of gaming, online gaming in Rio, Itaperuna is a very small city. You know, those really simple, quiet towns, that's where it happened. You saw it in the newspaper. 14-year-old boy, when you read the news, he had a cyber relationship with a girl from another state since he was 9 years old. And when he was 14, he does that atrocity that you saw on TV, kills his parents and his little brother. We, as public administrators, cannot let this happen because playing Atari, when we were playing Atari, we never thought about anything like this. There was some time remaining in the lives of kids that need to be fulfilled. And this is the law 14811, which is the law that criminalizes bullying and cyberbullying. And we also saw so many other situations of people that when that person is encouraged and shows their most private parts, and then they are exposed and end up killing themselves. And we also have the hotline, dial 100. We have other laws, but we don't have time to mention all of them. But I would like to leave this place with a hint. If you're a city administrator, a private administrator, you can propose to your city, your town, to implement Famílias Fortes, Strong Families program in your town. It's a Senage program that strengthens the relationships, the family bonds. So if there's something wrong with this generation of children and teenagers, is because there's time left, but there's too little bonding. If there's something that is happening with the generation, is because there's a lot of time being there's a lot of space and room for time, but very little bonding. So you can search for this information at Senage's website. There are other interesting projects. This project of Famílias Fortes, Strong Families, in English, has existed for quite a while, and the result is effective. In the town of Volta Redonda, Rio de Janeiro state, Dr. Neuza Jordão, I think it's the fifth edition of this program, this project. Amazing project, because when you strengthen family bonds, no one will tear you down. And you guys know that. In the WhatsApp group, if someone start fighting and so on, you say, okay, yeah, right, you're fighting. It's just family. But if someone from the outside, you say, no, don't mess with my family. And that's what we need to strengthen. Defending our family, taking care of our family. We let just a minute, guys. I'm going to get this little copy I made. We have some guides about important guides, guidelines that you can work on to protect children and teenagers. We have programs within human rights that is going to train the professionals of the area of human rights. There are several things that can be done. Another thing that is very important are the councils, the boards. It's not just for a specific social group. Boards, councils are for all Brazilian citizens. And we have Conanda. Conanda has several resolutions, several actions that are done that we need to be there. It's important for you when we take care of parents that use drugs. The child is also affected some way, or not, in one way or another. Depending on what she sees and watches, she will make a decision. She will also use drugs, or she does the opposite of it, because the life of a child is going to follow the example. Within these issues regarding boards, councils, we have the Fund for the Rights of Children and Teenagers here in the Federal District in 2016. The Secretary of Justice here is proposing that institutions of the civil societies that participated in the call notices, that they create projects to protect children in its entirety. You're going to also put this topic of protection within the digital context. It's very important to strengthen these bonds. Yes, we do have a free will for sure, but we also have to provide and give our children and teenagers limits up to where they can go. Today, parents say, "Oh, I'm sorry. You have to go to school. Sorry." They negotiate going to school. No, dear, you have school. You have to go to school. We cannot act this way because our time will pass. Who is going to assume this nation are the children of today. And we need to create a generation of strong people, a generation that play with Atari, with all games, but is not contaminated by what is not good for them. It's very important to reach this topic. The fund for promoting the children and teenagers' rights, they are extended to those in civil society with their legal documents in place, such as regarding policies against drugs and regarding the children and teenagers agenda. You can establish a specific amount for institutions to create a project. So social projects regarding sports, this or of reading, libraries, and several other projects. What is important here, to conclude my talk, is that we leave this place with our mind thinking, what can I do? What can I do to change my nation? I usually say one sentence. For me, what is most important is that in a few years from now, no one will remember my name, but will remember of something I left as a legacy for this nation. Dr. Paula, I couldn't see you. Thank you so much for the opportunity of being here. Thank you so much, you guys. And you can contact me personally. I'm around, okay, if you want me to answer any questions. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon. Now, continuing, we're going to call Dr. Leonardo Carriço. He's a doctor of the Medical Science of Santos with residency in psychiatry, and São Bernardo do Campo, collaborator of ProMEDS, the Institute of Psychiatry at USP, residency preceptor in psychiatry at São Bernardo do Campo, and also at Santa Casa of Santos. Leonardo, the floor is yours. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Well, it's pretty crowded here. I'm happy to see that. Last year we had a smaller space, but it's so nice to be back here at the event. And my mission here is to, as it was been very well exposed by the prior talks, I think this world is very distant of the world of parents and people that are here. So Vinicius showed a video of a championship of a tournament of League of Legends, which one is the world's most played games, and it was a Korean team, a tournament that happened in Asia. And I want to start showing you guys, if the production could play the video of a tournament. Okay. If I did not mention to you that this was a tournament, you might think it was a soccer game. Yes, it could be a soccer game with the passion involved in there. That's very similar to a soccer game. And it was not even the finals, it was the semifinals. It was in 2023 in Rio, this tournament. And as you saw in this video and the other sports, our audience is very cheering, very lively, very intense. We like competitions and games in general. I believe that this liking for games, sports, reflect some findings of this research that I will show you, which is called Games Brazil Research. Every year they create this report. They publish a free version where they monitor the profile of the gamers, how many people have been playing, and the number of respondents here, as you can see, is quite significant. 4 years ago, 72% of the people that were respondents said that they did practice gaming as something ordinary in their lives, and today it says 82%. These games, they are not only the complex numbers like Vinicius showed, and I imagine that you have not understand what was happening there with those lights and things going on, but it covers the complex to least complex. For example, Candy Crush, okay, which became really trendy, and it's very simple, easy to access, it's already in the mobile. So it's very important to notice how common it is, this habit of playing in an app or in a mobile phone.
The next slide shows you that even though our focus here is children and teenagers, you are mistaken if you think they are a majority. The majority are actually from 30 to 44 years old. Coincidentally, the age group that grew up with the development of the gaming industry, and many of them are women. Most of them are women, which is a bit different, maybe. Of course, if we start to stratify per type of game, just like Vinicius showed you, like is it a strategy or immersion in worlds, this varies a lot. But do not forget that the girls and women represent a significant portion of that population that plays. And well, in view of everything that has been said, I'd like to bring things to the real world. So I used a friend of mine, AI, Gemini, to show you a case to illustrate that I think that as it develops, I believe that every one of you will recognize the story of a friend or of the child of a friend that may end up like Lucas. Lucas' story, this happy, smiley boy having his breakfast on a sunny day. He's playing the game he likes, and he's a medicine student. He's 20 years old. According, has always been a fun child, talkative and outgoing. That person that's very easygoing. It's easy to be his friend. He starts talking, he doesn't stop. He's always willing to do any activity. He engages with people and with things. So in the history, he played soccer since he was a child. Not only soccer, he has already done martial arts, swimming. So a very active young person, physically active. And when he turned 18, he began to play Fortnite with some friends that he met live. And that ended up evolving to a world in which these friends stopped. These friends, they stopped playing, but he continued to play with other people. So since it's easy for him to create bonds with people, it was easy for them in the virtual environment as well. So he began to have that behavior with people he didn't know in person. Well, until then, okay, no problem. Let's move on. Months went by, and Lucas, who he used to be a good student, he had never had school problems in college. He was a good student. He studied. We ended up seeing a scenario in which Lucas started to lose track of time. He wanted to play just a little bit, and then when he noticed it was already 5 a.m., the next day he had school at 8 a.m. He had to sleep. Then he doesn't sleep because he will miss school. that family event, that family gathering, that barbecue on a Sunday. He used to love it, those occasions, to talk to his cousin that used to come once a month. He stopped going, or he felt it was a bit boring. He was always tired and uninterested. Uh, it lost meaning for him. And that evolved to a point that he started to question if he actually wanted to be a doctor. He was not interested in college anymore. His grades were dropping. He was having difficulty to go to college, and he used to have a good relationship with his mother and sister. His mother started to notice his different behavior and took him to the psychiatrist. Well, his mother, and it's very funny because when there's a, you have an appointment with two people because it seems like you are mediating a war. The mother said he doesn't leave his room, and he answered, "Yes, I leave my room, I go to college." Then you take a breath, calm down, talk to the mother, talk to the child, and the mother says, "I have been noticing that his academic performance is dropping. He says it's not possible that he's doing well in college because he used to study every day, but now I don't see him study. He's always locked in his room, and every time I hear him screaming, 'Oh, there's a guy there, kill him there, do this, do that.' So something is weird." And of course, when the mother starts saying these things, mentioning these things, that he doesn't go out with his friends anymore, he doesn't goes to family events, she recognizes that as a change in his behavior. That's very significant. Lucas is, when you're going to talk to him, he's in a bad mood. He was forced to come. He didn't want to be there. And he looks at you and says, "Doctor, honestly, my mother, she's like that. She's overreacting. She doesn't know what she's saying. I'm doing okay in college. I have a problem here, a problem there, but I'm, I'm moving my way." Now, about playing, I do play. I play. I could be playing soccer on the streets, but no, I'm in my room. It's harmless. I'm with my friends. It's no problem. It's a hobby. I really like to play. Okay, no one will start, playing soccer until 4 a.m. on the streets. If someone says that, please beware. But then, 6 months later, you gave some guidance. I will call soon Dr. Cirillo to make a comment. We made some guidance gave guidance to the mother, to Lucas, and they disappeared. He never came back. That happens very often in our practice. 6 months later, this boy here, yes, it's Lucas, that same Lucas, but now he's in a completely different context. He comes to the appointment acknowledging that things are not going well, that things are pretty ugly. He said he's not being able to study, not because he doesn't want. He sits down in his desk and he only thinks about the game. Mobile phone notifications don't stop. His friends calling him all the time. "No, come on, connect." And then when he says, "No, I'm not going. I'm going to study," he sits down and he doesn't stop thinking about it. And he reads the same sentence 5 times. And one day he turned to his mom and said, "It's no way. I don't have anything else to do. I will drop out of college." So he did that. It happened. In addition to that, problem regarding college, he became isolated from his friends. That movement that it was happening. He hasn't seen a friend in months. He hasn't practiced a sport in months. He doesn't meet anyone in person. Now he looks differently. He is a bit plumper. His hair is long with no haircut. So it's a different Lucas. than the one who went to my office the first time. And when talking to him, what he identifies as the big problem currently, biggest harm, is that he's procrastinating a lot. On the contrary, he used to be very active. He would to do things on his own and go after things. But now he lost interest in all other activities. Soccer, he used to love to watch with his friends. It doesn't make sense to him anymore. Those family events, as I said, maybe they weren't that cool, but he understood that they were necessary. But today he says he can't go. He has no patience to interact with others. He's been exchanging day for night. He has been so, and he does it because he can't sleep at night. Late night, he only thinks about the game. He wants to play. And the curious fact is the self-report that what used to be very nice for him, he was playing, he used to spend hours playing with his virtual friends. It was very nice and pleasurable. But now he's just doing it automatically. He does because he has to do it, or in an illusion that it will be pleasurable, and it's never. He repeats, 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 and he's always seeking that initial pleasure he used to have. Then he comes back with his mother, reinforcing all the issues that he was talking about. The mother is very worried, and I brought here some sentences he said during the appointment. The first one, he can't stop playing. It's not that he doesn't want, it's that he can't. He can't study that issue regarding attention, which his attention is damaged, and most importantly, which made him recognize that as an issue, was the fear that without the game his life would lose meaning, because it's everything he has today. It's the only thing he feels that he's part of. The social environment he is in is the gaming environment, and he demonstrates he is open to receive help. At that moment, this illustrative case, which is increasingly common, what calls our attention here? As Vinicius said about video game disorder, it never comes alone. It also comes with other disorders. So one important thing is to properly investigate if there were no indications of issues before he fell ill, but it seems that he didn't have any history before, and understand that that patient, in addition to its lack of control regarding gaming, he is depressed. And I think this case illustrates that very well and generates no doubt regarding the fact that he has depression. Having said that, we proposed to Lucas, the beginning of a treatment with medication. And that medication here in this specific case aims at addressing the depressive symptoms. And we also made agreements with him. One is that he would start cognitive behavioral therapy, which is that one that has more evidence regarding therapeutic success at the moment, with main focus of creating strategies to fight negative emotions and to recognize one's own emotions as well, because sometimes they get lost amidst the evolution of an illness. So the issue of talking about abstinence, that period he will stay without playing, and it is expected that he will develop psychological issues and might need tools and support to address that moment. So this kid has no repertoire, and it's the first time he will undergo a psychiatrical treatment and he does not know how to deal with that situation. That's why it's important to understand that it will not be one medication that will prescribe him or to the person that's ill, and after a week he will or she will look and say, no, I've stopped, I don't even like playing games anymore. So if any of you has that expectation, I'm sorry, but it will not happen. It's a slow process that involve a cognitive restructuring. Something that's very important in the treatment is the issue of limits. As it was already said before, I believe both speakers before me talked about limits. Limits are important here because they're part of the treatment and we have to start decreasing that. And when the patient is motivated and engaged, we tend to be successful in having him following recommendations much better. Talking about what Vinicius said and everything has to be very well tied out. Otherwise, we will lose that patient. And by losing, we understand that he will not follow the treatment. Here we have Lucas a few weeks or months afterwards. He was truly determined, he was motivated and focused on changing his behavior. With the monitoring of psychology and returning to practice physical activities, and of course the action of the antidepressants that helped him to deal with his depression. Lucas now is back to practicing sports, something he used to do. He has always liked college. Remember, he had these ideas that, oh, do I want to be a doctor? Really? Oh, I don't know anymore. Now he's back to being motivated and to see a purpose and see himself in medicine and see himself as a medical professional. He reconnected with his friends from college that he had forgotten for a while, even those who played with him. And keeping the psychiatric and psychological treatment as told by professionals that follow him.
And here we have Lucas in his medicine graduation ceremony with his mother. That is completely different from the other person, but that's AI, right? And I'm going to conclude this clinical topic by raising here with my colleagues specific topics about this case. How could we perfect this treatment? Was there something missing in this approach? Are all the cases like this? Where do we usually lose these patients? At what step? And I count with you, the audience, in case you have any questions. Although it's an illustrative and fictitious case, it's very common in our practice. And feel free to ask questions. And I would like to start with Cirilo. Cirilo? Well, we had great presentations. I would like to contribute, but I would like to leave the floor to you guys most of all. But I do have something to contribute. Me as a therapist, a family therapist, as a family therapist, fortunately, we won't have much time. But I would like to tell you is what currently happen, what is very recurrent in the visits the families make to me. There's a situation. There are two questions in life that are fundamental to all of us, so that where we feel well-being. First is to feel safe. Safety has to do with the example that Mariela brought a child alone in the night walking the streets. Safety is having someone, an adult, next to them. Even if they're in the street in the night, this adult in a way protects the child. So safety has to be with purposes, relationships, people that somehow make us feel more comfortable, more safer, feeling that we are protected, defended. So safety is fundamental. And then we also have another item that is very important, which is independence. We need to feel that we can decide what's best for us at several times of our lives. And when we talk about addictions, whatever the addiction is, we are in a complicated situation because the person that is addicted, this person wants to feel pleasure and the independence of wanting of doing what they want at the time of they want at the intensity that they want whenever they want. On the other hand, this abuse, it can become an abuse, and then it can begin with abusing, then it can become an addiction. The person, when she become addicted, she will lose this type of safety and she will get sick and harm herself and others and might harm others. And those this gray area among what between what is the right of a person to do something, to decide for themselves, and how much this is very close to social issues and questions, such as the first thermometer that something is wrong is the family. And in this process, there's a type of acting that is different when we're talking about abuse or becoming ill. So I understand that abusing of something, a family person can deal with this abuse uh, if they are engaged with their sons and daughters. Marilea brought an example of a father that is creating a rule, a habit, a culture within his family, but that is based on selfishness. To feel safe about himself, he does not get involved with the life of his child. The problem here is it's not that's not the only case. Let's imagine that uh, a parent is engaged with their child, but not necessarily this parent will know how and what to do with their child when this child is abusing something. Um, that's what we should question. That's the problem with all family members that come to me. They always ask me, what should I do? So, what should I do with this that I know has to do with two situations. First of all, the person that is sick, that is ill, is living a certain way, a matter of life or death, that in this she needs to feel safe. If we do not limit this person, you're not going to leave to let the child stay alone outside on the streets at night, right? You will get the child by the hand and bring her back home. So you need to bring the safety back to this person that is ill, and it needs to be an authoritarian person, because a child not always going to understand that I'm not authoritarian, I'm the authority. So I need to occupy a space next to people where people can recognize this, that what I'm saying, I'm not saying what is right or wrong, okay? But some choices we make us be at greater risk than other situations, and we have to see how much the person has is within a condition to understanding these risks. And with that said, we have to think that within a situation that a person is abusing or is already addicted, we have to give this person a north. And depending on the age, and that's what is interesting in his example, it's a 20-year-old boy that goes to medicine school, and the mother taking him to medicine school. That's a conflict because a 20-year-old is an adult that should have the independence if she's going, how she's going or not to school. But the problem with family members becomes before that, because a few years back, 15, 12-year-old, the independence, and a teenager needs to have more autonomy, independence. They had to start becoming detached of the safety that their parents bring. They want to decide what is right or wrong, the teenager. That's when the conflicts arise and that they can come to a disease. So, a disorder. So, what should we do in this case? Well, okay, we have a time limit here. We can continue the conversation outside. People think that when we know what's right or wrong, we have to tell our student, this is right, this is wrong. And we expect for our child to say, oh, Dad, you're so cool. I'm going to do what you said. Not in my practice. What I see is every time a patient tells me, Cirilo, you're right, I say, yes, yes, cool, which means he is cutting me out. He's saying this to cut me out of his life, which is different from saying, oh, what are his difficulties? And he says, okay, it's right. It's different from saying, you are right. One thing is to feel that he was listened and he was understood by me. And another thing, I'm empathetic to things that he's saying and happening and provide alternatives and decide with this person together what should be done. So my message here is the process of changing toward rehabilitation begins not when our patient or our child says yes. The treatment begins when our child says, no, I'm not going to do it. That's crazy because parents don't want conflicts, parents don't want fights with their children, but it's exactly the beginning of the process of change. No is much better than yes, because everything that is legitimate, you can say it out loud. And when he says it out loud, I will know his motivations. I will be able to respond to his motivations. When he says yes, he's not telling me his motivations, and he'll do the complete opposite of what I said. So parents cannot fear their children. We know what is right or wrong, but sometimes we want to be their friends. Today, people are valuing much more individuality than relationships. And so we don't want to be in conflict with them. People are valuing much more independence than safety in social terms. So this makes our work, our rehabilitation work harder. This is for any type of addiction. It's all addiction is addiction. Family is fundamental, and family has to create its own culture and not be afraid of saying no and getting a no back to begin a negotiation and a discussion. Negotiation who has to win the negotiation are the parents for the sake and well-being of the children. Thank you so much. So, Dr. Cirilo, thank you. Dr. Leonardo, Dr. Vinicius, thank you so much, you guys, for being part of this first panel. Gaming disorders. Let's take a picture. Guys, while they take the picture, I'd like to invite you for the next panel, which will happen now. Wonderful also, social reinsertion and its stigma in people coming back to their activities after treatment.